Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Winie Student World. Your girl, Winie. All right. Today we're going to talk about a topic that a lot of people want to hear about. I'm going to be diving deep into some top reasons people don't do well in their visa interview. US visa interview, of course. Now, you can do all this work, get funding, have a banging application, have a full ride, or maybe partial, scholarship, whatever, and then get to the interview and just everything. Because if you don't get the visa, guess what? You are not going to the US to study, right? And so I'm going to be diving deep into some reasons, some practical reasons that you could do all this work, get to the embassy and fumble, and also giving you tips that would help you prepare better and do better the next time you show up there. Are you ready? All right, let's dive right in. The very first reason that people don't do too well in their interview is incoherent explanation. You're nervous. That is natural. The stakes are high, right? This is something that's probably your dream, you've been working on for a while. Like, you're walking to that embassy and you just know that based on the words that are going to come out of this person's mouth, you may or may not travel. And so your nerves are valid, and that anxiety you feel, natural and normal. What you shouldn't let it do to you though is take over your speech and the way you're talking. Because it's based on how you articulate yourself and answer this question that the consular officer talking to you would decide whether you get a visa or not, right? Some examples of how your nerves can just do you strong things during the interview is you're talking too fast, right? They ask you a question and you're just like, and the person did not catch what you said, and you're just like, trying to speed through the responses, and your responses are probably rehearsed. Or you are doing repeat your question again. We can't do that, right? I know you're nervous. Your anxiety is natural and normal, but you know what you can do to keep those nerves at bay? Practice. Put a mirror like this, right? Have your family members gather those people around you, right, that are supporting this journey, right? And then practice in front of them over and over again. Honestly, this is one of those cases where practice makes perfect. Practice your responses. Let them sound natural. Let them sound like you know what you want to say. So practice it and get the right words out. And then when you do that, my next tip for you is breathing.
Breathe air.
See, breathing exercises are good, but you can also practice that while you're talking, right? And so, for example, see the way I'm talking? You ask me, okay, good morning, or the consular officer asks me, good morning, what brings you in today? You breathe in. Good morning. My name is Winie Adebayo. I would like to go study in the US for my master's degree. Or, good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir. My name is Winie Adebayo. I would like to go study in the US for a PhD in this or that, right? And so that taking a breath before you speak allows you to kind of control, like rein it in, right? When they ask you another question, try, listen and then speak. And if you find yourself speaking too fast, take a breath and then continue, right? And so that pacing of yourself helps you slow down. And so you want to be very articulate in what you're saying, because that interview is only going to last a few minutes and your responses will decide whether you get the visa or not. And so one top reason is incoherent or vague, or your story is going like this. There's no final destination. When they ask you here, you are talking to this way. Before you say whatever it is you want to say, before you even get to the answer, they have told you it's okay. They are continuing. See, that's when things start to add up and not in your favor. How are we doing? Let's get to the next point. The next point is you cannot defend what you are going to study. Hey, your auntie in Texas have told you to pick nursing, or your cousin have told you to pick computer science, or maybe somebody that a friend of a friend have told you to pick information technology. You reach there and they ask you, why are you going to study information technology? you now start dancing with your words and not heading to any direction or destination because you haven't taken the time to research what you say you're going to study and defend why you want to do it, right? It is important to say things like, math is my favorite subject, physics is my favorite subject, I enjoy working with parts, I enjoy taking things apart and putting them together, I enjoy taking care of people. This is something that I have been wanting to do for a long time. I'm passionate about research. I enjoy doing this field, this is what I know about it, and I'm excited to learn more. Those things humanize you and show them that you know what you're talking about. So when they ask you, why do you want to study information technology, you now answer something along the lines of, so that when I finish I can come back and work in Nigeria. And I use Nigeria because that's where I'm from, but insert whatever country you're from into that sentence. You didn't answer their question. Like, you did not answer their question at all. Research what you're going to study. Research careers that what you're going to study can lead to. And be prepared to defend why you want to go study that course. Okay? All right. The next reason is your financial sponsorship is dancing on one leg. The thing is not balanced. Who is funding your education? My uncle that is a grand uncle from something is funding the education. And now the consular officer is trying to keep track of your family tree, because otherwise it makes no sense why an uncle twice removed from your grandmother is your sponsor for this education, or your village family friend that lives in Chicago is the person paying for your education. It's not adding up, right? Or you're not able to defend how whoever is paying for your education can afford it. I'll give you an example. Who is sponsoring your education? My father. What does your father do? He's a full-time pastor. I'm not saying that pastors don't earn a lot of money, but that consular officer is going to calculate, do a rough estimation of, okay, if you're a pastor in Nigeria, or you're a pastor in Ghana, or you're a pastor in South Africa, and you're a full-time pastor, what are the chances that you earn enough money to give your child $120,000 a year to go to school? A little slim, quite honestly, except you're a mega pastor of one of those big churches, which, if that is the case, you need to insert that into that, right? If your father does business or your mother does business on the side, you might want to highlight that instead as where they get their source of income. Because when they ask you who is sponsoring your education, they are not only trying to gauge, okay, whether you have a sponsor for your education, they are also trying to see whether it is plausible that the person you have mentioned as your sponsor can and will in fact sponsor your education. I'll give you another example. Who is your sponsor? My uncle, my mother's brother. Okay, why is he your sponsor? You say because your uncle has been taking care of you since you were a kid. Maybe you lost your dad, I'm sorry about that, or something else. All right, they say, okay, what does your uncle do for a living? You answer. Does your uncle have any children? You say yes. How many children does your uncle have? He has 7 children. All right, the consular officer does a rough estimate of the math, right? How much does your uncle need to earn to support his 7 children and add you and still be able to give you 100,000, 80,000, 50,000 per year, whatever your cost of attendance is? And so think through who is your financial sponsor, right? If you have a scholarship, please mention that first. I received support from the school and the balance will be paid by this person or that person, right? And so when your financial sponsorship is not clear, or your financial sponsorship is not believable or not plausible, right? Or when you say it, even when it's true, like that's actually the way it is, and you know that, okay, this situation, even though your uncle has said I will support you, you're not quite sure where the $80,000 is going to come from. It will show in the way you interact with the consular officer. Financial sponsorship is one of the biggest reasons people get denied a visa. And so I encourage people, Winie Student World, right? Hit us up, send us a message so that we could give you tips on how to get schools that will give you some kind of funding all the way to full funding, so that the burden of proving that you can afford your education is at least removed from the process. But financial sponsorship, very important. So it's either you're getting a scholarship and you're articulating that scholarship, or whoever is your sponsor, it has to be plausible that they can and will in fact be able to sponsor your education. Feel free to mention that your scholarship is given to people who have the highest SAT scores, or the highest GRE scores, or the highest incoming GPA. Like, feel free to show that you got it, right? If you're maybe like under some kind of distinguished endowment, things like that, you want to mention that because it makes you look better as a candidate.